And good evening, everybody. Hello, it is Pseudo. Welcome to the Campfire. It is Tuesday. I am joined by awesomeness of awesomeness. It's the best way to put it. Hopefully, everyone has had a fantastic weekend, gotten a good chance to get some gaming in, and gotten a chance to just spend time with your friends and your family. First, let's say hello to Screen.
Meow.
Screen is dealing with the voices in his head today. What can I say? And if obviously,
Hi.
say hello to Blankspace. Hey.
What's going on, folks? Welcome back to another Campfire.
And we have joining us today from the guild community, Gaiscioch, Benjamin. And no, I am not going to try to pronounce his name because I want to get it
That's all
right
good.
and I'll fail it.
Thanks for having me today, guys. It's been an awesome experience so far. So, thank you.
Awesome. We have to start off. How do you pronounce your name?
The way I was taught by my grandfather was Foghladha.
Foghladha.
But people call me Foghladha, Fog, whatever you want to call me. I actually have a name plaque that says "Hey You," so that was from my very first job. They asked me in my interview what I like to be called, and I said "Hey You" works just fine. So they printed up "Hey You" on a plaque and stuck it on my door. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
Now, that sounds like a fun little job to actually get involved in. Before we go too far, hello to all of you who are joining us in the Twitch sphere. And hopefully you guys are ready for a really exciting show. We have an interesting topic. As you may have seen in the overlay leading into the show, we are going to be talking about exclusive and inclusive versus exclusive communities and guilds. Yes, I am twisting my tongue. I should put my teeth back in. Maybe I'll get it right this time. But before we do that, it is time for us to roast our guest. So, before we roast ourselves, do you want to take a quick moment and explain to people a little bit about Gaiscioch?
The Gaiscioch family started 2001 in November. I pretty much got my first experience with guilds in a guild that was very exclusive, like extremely exclusive. And after about a couple months of that, I decided, you know what, this isn't working for me. I'm a people person. I love people. I love being around people. I love welcoming people and grouping with any random folk I come across. And the guild I was in prohibited me from grouping with anyone that was outside the guild. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to build the opposite of that. You know, a community that people can be a part of, whether they're, you know, playing 1 hour a day or, you know, 6 hours a day, doesn't matter. Now, if you're a person, we want you. You know, so we created the Gaiscioch family with a few of us. We had Jeff and Spence, who were two friends that kind of bloomed out of the whole thing. It was rather funny. They just kind of joined to help form up the guild, and they ended up sticking around. They're still around today. So it was kind of neat. But, you know, we just formed with pretty much 3 members that were consistent. And we originally started a role-playing guild, grew, and I've always had the problem of telling people no, they can't come along. So we continued to grow. And here we are today. We got 6,800 registered members, and about 2,500 of those are active at this moment. So it's quite a community. We've turned our focus to doing a lot of charity work. We have sports teams. We have a magazine now. We just launched it. It's pretty interesting. I didn't expect it to take off as well as it did, but it had 15,000 reads within the first week, which I was like, what in the world's going on?
So, of course, you know this means I'm going to specifically ask you to have yourself or somebody else link the magazine link to us so that everybody can get even more views of it, because it is worth looking at.
Yeah, I will have to copy and paste that link somewhere. So.
Now for the fun part. This part of the show is one of my favorite because we get to basically put you on the spot and give you a chance to let your personality shine. So,
all right.
We're going to start off with our typical ice-breaking questions, our more information section. And what we would like for you to do is to tell us 2 truths and 1 lie about yourself, but you will never, ever reveal which is a lie and which is truth. And we'll sit here and speculate for a little bit to see which we think is actually true or a lie.
So does it have to be about myself, or does it have to be about things I'm involved in?
You.
Okay.
You as an individual.
I was a friend of Roger Oldor Rawl, who was the namesake of Sanctum of Rawl in Guild Wars 2. My first public community event was in Dark Age of Camelot, and I helped create 7 legendary weapons, including Eternity, for a giveaway in the latest edition of the Great Tyranny Adventure in Guild Wars 2.
Okay, which one do you guys think is a lie? Silence.
Legendaries? That was good. I'm gonna say legendaries. I'm gonna go with
Legendaries?
The legendaries. Those are those logging dairies
Yeah, that's
that lumberjacks use. They're clearly epic lumberjack axes. I'm actually going with the legendaries as well. I think you have minions for that.
Yeah.
I am just going to have to go with legendaries. I have no idea. However, at the same time, with the kind of person that you are, it's probably they're all true. Who knows? They all sound like epic
lying
things.
is very difficult. You gotta carry the lie and keep it going, and then you gotta remember who you told it to.
This is
Usually
why
ends
you don't
bad.
need to lie. Lying is not worth it. Totally not
No.
worth it. But a
I
topic.
got enough gray hairs. Don't need more.
Remember, folks, every time you lie, it's not a kitten that dies, it's the fact that your hair starts to turn gray.
Well, I have a saying. It's the gray hairs are every time that you should have walked away.
Interesting. I wonder what that says about my poor husband who's going gray, whereas I am remaining grayless.
Dye everything.
That's just it. I haven't dyed my hair in forever. I think I may be going blue next, but who knows. Next, wonderful question for you, and we're going to get a little bit serious for you here. You've been involved in running a community for a while now, so with hindsight being 2020, can you tell us about a situation where you made a decision, and now when you're looking back at it, and you're like, I've had all these years of experience, that was so not the right decision. And can you tell us why you made the decision and what you would have done differently?
Yes. For that, we rewind to Rift, and we did the Great Tyranny Adventure. Or no, it was the Talara Saga in Rift, and that was a 22-week campaign across Talara, where we actually sieged the Meridian capital city at the end of it. And at the end of it, we decided, you know what, we don't like being exclusive to just one faction. We wanted to bring the fun to both sides, because everyone on the Defiant side was looking at us going, oh, well, they're having all the fun, this sucks, why don't we have somebody like this doing this? So we decided, you know what, let's create a Defiant side guild and try to host the event on both sides of the ball at the same time. Yeah, looks great on paper, but then you run into the daddy loves you more than me. And let me tell you, that was a real kick to the groin on that.
I take it a lesson
we
learned
ended
there.
up with two halves of a whole, and it was just mass chaos, and we couldn't ever pay enough attention to either side to make them feel like we were paying attention to them. So it really becomes standing in two different worlds at the same time. And eventually, if we would have waited, Rift made it so that Guardians and Defiance could play together, which would have been the proper time to launch such an endeavor. But yeah, that was lesson learned the hard way.
Okay. And then our final question for grilling you. What is one of the most memorable events that has occurred in your guild or community that has given you as an individual the greatest sense of accomplishment?
Well, there's actually two that I've been battling. First of which was the very first time that we did Extra Life. And we did a charity event, raise money for the kids with cancer, and we basically dedicated all of our funds, like the entire guild went in for Dornbecker's Children's Hospital to hopefully help this boy Tristan, who was a personal friend's son who needed a kidney replacement. And we were actually ranked number 9 that year out of the top contributors in the Extra Life. And it was the very first year that we ever did, very first time that we ever did anything. And today, Tristan has a new kidney. And Dornbecker's Children's Hospital picked up the entire tab. So it was just probably one of the biggest things I've ever been proud of, is that, maybe we helped in replacing his kidney and giving this little kid a chance at life. And, that to me was what it's all about. So, but the other one is probably the Great Tyranny Adventure. This last season, we had over 780 people participate. We did give away 7 legendaries, including Eternity. And people actually saw me in a dungeon, which was something that they don't usually see. I did a whole lot of grinding to help put those legendaries together. So it was a lot of fun. We had a ton of people show up. We did 4 events a week. It was just pure madness. I actually took days off of work so that I can run the events in the European time frame. So it was quite an experience, but it was definitely worthwhile. It paid off in the end. So.
Well, fantastic. We have now grilled him. Do you guys feel he is suitably grilled, or do you want to grill him further?
I want a section of the show where we would deep fry people.
Yeah.
We do
That
not
sounds
need our
encouraging.
guests to be edible for you, Screen. The entire point of having guests on is to discuss stuff, not to eat them.
Num, num, num.
Meddling in
Belly.
affairs of dragons because you're crunchy with ketchup.
Dragons
Yes.
underwhelm me now. They're underwhelming, I say.
Wow. So we move into the very next part of our show where we discuss the survival guide. And this is where we take a topic and we start to discuss it. And we get a bit serious, but we're still looking to have a bit of fun. Remember, folks, if you have a question that you would like us to tackle or a comment that you want us to make certain we do not miss, preface it with a colon and 2 dots so that we can have it pop up and tell us that you guys are making a comment or asking a question. We do not wish to ignore you. So, today's topic is about inclusive versus exclusive guild/communities. And this is the beauty of the Campfire. The Campfire allows the guests to come on to pick a topic that they really want to see discussed. In this particular case, it is these 2 different styles of guilds. So what I'm going to do is say, Benjamin, what is the difference? Can you define exclusive? Can you define inclusive? And where the line is between them? And then we can start the debate.
Yes, it's quite simple. Exclusive is pretty much looking out for your own. The real core here is that you got to kind of find the difference between the black and the white and find the gray areas that fits for you. I mean, the guilds that you run needs to be driven by your passion and your ambition, and if you're doing something that you're not enjoying, you're not going to be as passionate or ambitious about it. So you really need to kind of find which one works for you. Exclusive guilds are pretty much, they group with themselves in guilds, or in games like Guild Wars 2, they require 100% representation. The pros of having the exclusive guild is the consistency, it's very focused, it's united, it's very skill-based, and achievement-driven. The cons, however, is that you are disconnected from the community a lot of times. It requires a lot, and I mean a lot, of time spent on recruiting. This is your guild marketing, however you want to put it. And then oftentimes you're seen by the community as elitist. That's kind of the biggest con that I see, and a lot of times it's not even the case. But to the outside world, a community that won't leave their own house to socialize with others is oftentimes seen as an elitist guild. So that's kind of the PR that you have to defeat if you're running an exclusive guild. For the inclusive side, events are open to the public. You will find mostly running with pugs, as they like to call them. It integrates into the community and strengthens, the guild gets strengthened as a server as a whole. It's not just your guild, it's now a community that integrates with the rest of the server. The pros is that you don't really need to recruit. You'll draw people to you just by doing events and hosting them, and they will naturally be attracted to you if they're similar, like-minded. You also get a strong sense of community. So you will find that the community vouches for you, they talk about you, they promote you. You don't really have to do much marketing, per se. The community will do that for you. And then you have a very strong public image. A lot of people don't really think about the PR when they're running a guild, but I can tell you PR is king when it comes to running a guild. You have to keep your reputation clean. You have to, keep your public image clean. And when you're running an inclusive guild, you have to do it tenfold. It's a lot more PR control when you're doing something that's public. And then, you make up for the skill and consistency with numbers. A lot of times you will have way more players available to you than you would if you were running exclusive. The cons, however, is it's very chaotic and erratic. If you're not a friend of chaos, you do not want to try running an inclusive guild because it is literally a cluster. Yeah,
Yeah.
So that brings me to my second, is that it requires an immense amount of patience. I mean, you have to be a very patient person to be able to run an inclusive guild. You also are going to be exposed to trolling and griefing. There will be an excessive amount of people that want you to fail. They will follow you around doing everything they can to make you fail. You have to be ready for that and plan around it. You have to plan around somebody not listening at all times. Part of your game plan from the moment that you step on the field to the moment that you step off the field needs to be, Joe Schmo is not going to listen to me. He's going to go do this. So we're going to do this and wait for Joe Schmo to do that, and then it'll complete our picture here. So, you're going to always be looking for, how are somebody not going to listen? How are they going to defy me? Because they're going to. If a random person doesn't, a troll will. And you count on it, and you build that as part of your strategy. Like, one of the examples I can use is like in Elder Scrolls Online, we go out into AVA, and we'll take a camp. So we'll go take a lumber mill. And before that camp is even ticked off, we will already be on our way to the farm, because I know for a fact that somebody's not going to listen. They're not going to move. They're going to stay on the lumber mill and cap it. So I don't have to worry about that being capped. We're already moved halfway to the next one. By the time that we get there, it's already capped, and we're already on to the next objective. So it's kind of, you just have to predict that somebody is not going to listen and prepare for it. And that way you're not heartbroken every time that somebody's not listening. And then you never know what you're going to get. So, one day you might, good example, World v. World in Guild Wars 2, you might end up with tons of Guardians and no Mesmers. Or you might end up with a whole legion of Mesmers and no Guardians. It's kind of a random array of people that show
Don't
up.
believe
and
that's
you just
ever happened.
Yeah,
It never happened.
You just really got to kind of predict it.
Can I have a
and
Mesmer?
work with it.
Dead silence.
Yeah, that's why I play a Mesmer. It's because I never had a Mesmer. So I'm like, I need a Mesmer.
And
so I
that is
roll one.
that's what being in charge comes down to. Doing the shit job.
I mean, yeah, I was a Archmage in Warhammer Online because nobody else was playing a healer, so I decided I'd be a healer.
Now, see, that's the small sacrifices that go with it. Now, there's a couple of things that you have said, and I'm going to totally pick on Blank here in just a second.
No problem.
Okay, so Blank, we have some really good definitions of inclusive versus exclusive when it comes to guilds and communities brought to us by the lovely Benjamin. However, do you believe or agree with the statement that just because you're exclusive, you have to fight against the reputation of being elitist? By default.
No, not necessarily. No. In definition, I would definitely agree that it is a potential con, but I would change that to maybe intimate. These are, smaller groups that are, we've talked about them. They're made for specific games. They can be, the best part is you can actually have an inclusive group have smaller exclusive parts to them as part of a community. So it really does depend how they are defined and how the members see themselves, how they like to recruit, how they bring people in. So no, it doesn't necessarily mean elitist. Elitist exclusive normally is built more upon the way that they approach games, and then we start talking about that wonderfully made up word that gets butchered known as hardcore. So if they're not aiming for some sort of a rank, we're not talking about tons and tons of time put into, etc. I don't. Exclusive doesn't necessarily also mean elitist. You might have that a little bit on the PR front, but just because this bro has a guild over there that's just for PvP, I wouldn't say they're elitist. They could just be a bunch of bads running around. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're good at what they're doing. So
that's an interesting way to put it. Screen. Now I'm going to pick on you.
Yes.
When it comes to dealing with the PR side of things, I am a PR counselor for the guild that I am in. So even though my guild is exclusive, if we want to go into the definitions that we do have a PR representation. I am assuming that you think it makes a difference whether you're exclusive or inclusive. You should have someone managing PR in some way, shape, or form? Or do you think PR doesn't matter in that case?
You joking?
Trolling. She's trolling right now.
I am trolling. No, seriously.
Wow.
It doesn't matter whether you're inclusive or exclusive. Your reputation matters. It's something I brought up previously when we were talking to Troy and Ali from Matiga about their opinions as community managers. Your reputation as a gamer and as a community, it will both carry you and drag you down wherever you go. It will follow you from game to game, whether your community is 5 people in one game or whether it is 500 people across however many games you want to play. That reputation, both in terms of how you outwardly promote yourself as well as the behavior of your members internally, that will go with you, because you never know, one, when you come in contact with someone in either a real life environment or on Twitter, Facebook, social media, or even in game, how that's going to impact them, and when they say go on to become a community manager, work at a games company. People, the people that make these games play them. If you're known as a trolling guild that go and zerg around and don't particularly care who they upset, that's gonna impact you, both in whatever game you're playing and in any other game that you're playing. That's something we have to take into account. We have guilds like Ben does. We have guilds in a number of games, and we have a common ethos across all games and an understanding that not only do we carry the PR for all the games and all the guilds, but the PR team have to have good contact with the leadership within each of those games as well, and good communication across that. Because if you don't, then you're essentially going to end up making yourself look really bad if you don't have that common ethos across them and you don't have that open communication with your PR team. Because it's like I don't know, say a car manufacturer going out and saying we want to be really green, and then the manufacturing department releasing a ton of gas guzzling diesel cars, and it just makes you look, it doesn't make you look attractive or make you look like you know what you're doing, and that's going to reflect onto your community in the long term.
Fair enough. Now, for you, Benjamin, we've had a question come in from Basil. And I'd like to get, considering you're someone who, based on your definitions and things, believes in a community and a game needing both inclusive and exclusive in order to have a strong community. Let us take on the guild douchebag or bags, the one who is a vital member of your team who just ruined your guild image or your community image. Let's put you into a scenario where this has occurred. You are in, for this particular example, an inclusive guild. And you just had someone go off and basically do something that made everyone on the entire server stop and go, what? How do you handle that?
I cut ties. Yeah, quite honestly, if somebody goes out there and they're just a total douchebag, I will sever ties, kick them out right away, and then talk with them after the fact. That's just my personal belief in damage control, is that you know, as an IT manager, the first thing that you do when you lay somebody off is lock them out of their systems, and then you kick them out the door. And that's kind of what you got to do. I mean, it's harsh, but it's very true. Is you've got to sever ties so that the community doesn't, bag on you because of it, and then you negotiate with there and find if there's any way to reconcile the issue, if there's some way to spin the issue to work in your favor. But if there's no way to do that, or if the damage is done, then you got to part ways. And I've had this happen to me with a person that was at the very top of my food chain, one of our elders. She went off on this elitist rant, and it was crazy. She was basically talking down to everyone who wasn't her, basically. And I ended up severing ties with her. I mean, she had been a member of our community for years, and I just cut her loose and said, sorry, you're done. And that's what we got to do to protect the reputation. I mean, it sucks, but it's very much the fact that, we deal with every day.
Is there, with you having an inclusive community where you're not being exclusive, I'd like to say that probably myself and Pseudo, we're in exclusive communities. We're probably seen as somewhat more elitist than other communities. I think Black, you're working towards a more inclusive community now. But you've come from exclusive communities. We've all had a bit of experience, and we've always stated that when you're building a guild up until this point, that we've emphasised that recruitment questions, knowing who you're bringing in, is something that's very important, but it's a lot easier to do when you've got an exclusive community that's much going to have a higher barrier of entry, so to speak, than an inclusive community that's going to be a lot more open in terms of its mindset of bringing people in, including the wider community. So bearing that in mind, is having a system where you deal with problem players and have a disciplinary system, so to speak? Is that something you found you've had to have in place and well established with running an community that is more inclusive than, say, exclusive, where we would just raise the barrier to entry and grill people quite heavily before letting them in? Let's be honest about it.
One of the things that we have with Gaiscioch is we have this thing that the elders call a naughty list. And we place people who are in guild or not in guild in there. Pretty much, if we see someone being a troll or a total jackwagon out in the field, we will add them to that list and put a note of what they're doing, screenshot link, whatever. And yeah, it's crazy when you think about it, but we literally keep profiles on every person that comes in our doors.
You
so that
guys are the NSA of your server. It's
yeah,
great.
you know, you got to know, though. I mean, you got to know who's going to come into your community and try to destroy you. And there are people out there that look to destroy big communities. And, you know, it's not easy building a reputation with an inclusive guild. And you got to maintain control on it, you know. So it's definitely a full-time job. Let's put it that way. It's quite an ordeal, but it's rewarding in the end. So,
Yeah.
you know, and as I said earlier, I'm not a person to turn somebody away and say, no, you can't come play with us. You know, I want to be there for everybody. So.
Well, one of the things we do stress is the fact that anybody who decides to take on the mantle of any kind of lead role inside of a game pretty much kisses free time goodbye if you want to have a good quality
What's
one.
free time?
If I figure it out, I'll let you know. So far, I think it's something you don't pay for. I don't know. Free and time are two words that shouldn't be put together at any...
I'm just looking for some real quick. Hold on. Let me see if I've got
Check
some...
under the desk. Look under the desk.
No,
it's down there by the lint bunnies.
I think it's probably...
under the rise towers?
Yeah.
Blank has raised hours.
Shh, stop it. I did want to say something about the exclusive, inclusive, and that black book. And I know, Josie, you sounded kind of surprised.
No, not in the slightest.
Oh, I have that black book, if you will, and I'm not talking about the one that's sitting over. I know who they are, where they go, what they're doing, what game they're playing, what they're looking at, what their streamers are doing. And people ask me, like, legit, I sent a text today and somebody went, how did you know that? And I said, I'm supposed to know. I'm supposed to. Like, that's what I do. That's what I do. But there are people, whether they're exclusive, inclusive, in the internet, who I myself have on my own blacklist. You know, both community managers, Gaiscioch, they have their own way of doing it. But I wanted to point this out there for anybody. You know, a lot of we do this show for people who are thinking about, you know, building something up and to learn a lesson. This is a skill you should have. You should know the leaders who will look down their nose because their establishment's been around for 10 years. You've only been around for 1 year. You are dirt. You want to know who they are. You want to know who will give you guidance, who on the server is nice. You want to know who has a bad reputation. Keep track of it. Put it on a Google Drive. Know who these people are. Make yourself a nice contact list and know going forward that you do, whether it's your business, whether it's guild affairs, events, charity things, with people that have good reputations so that your reputation continues to grow and stays where you want it to be, instead of going down the slippery slope of, oh, well, we found this bug and we blew up the server and we don't care because we're whoever they are.
That's never happened in any game ever, really.
No.
See, that's the thing. That's the thing. One of the things that I think people tend to forget is what is actually needed of someone who does PR. It makes a difference whether you are that inclusive guild that just says, yes, we love you, everyone, come be with us, let us sing Kumbaya around a campfire, versus the exclusive one that says, hey, before you join us, can you answer a few questions, please? You know, it makes a difference which one it is. PR is important. And PR does not start with just, hey, look at us, we're a guild, we're awesome. Or, hey, we're recruiting. It's not like that. It's a matter of knowing everybody in the community. It's a matter of knowing the people on the server. It's a matter of keeping the black book, although my book tends to be blue because people waver. And I just have to be different. Anyway, having an understanding. I mean, it takes us back to, do you guys remember way, way back in the day, before cross-server was possible, knowing the name of every guild leader, of every guild, all faction sides, and if something happened, it was just a quick whisper of, hey, just so you know, this happened, this person needs to be blacklisted.
Yep.
You could, as a community, police your servers. And that's something that I really hope comes back.
It kind of has.
It kind of has. But I really want to see more of it, because we, as the individual players, we will make or break the friendly attitude of a server. We will. And if someone comes in and their first 5 guilds that they run across are nothing but complete idiots, and what did you call them? Strange wagons or something like that? That kind of made me snicker.
Jackwagons.
Jackwagons. If they're complete jackwagons, you know, what kind of impression is that going to leave? Not just on the game, but on the server, but on the game. You mean people may just literally go, screw this, I'm not going to subscribe, or screw this, I'm not going to pay for it, or whatever. They could be on a trial. So we, as individuals, have the biggest impact on reputations. And I just want people to remember that PR is not just about, hey, look at us, we're recruiting. I think people tend to forget that. But yes, it's going back to inclusive and exclusive stuff.
I had a question. As an expert, I would say expert, you're running something very successful. I am somebody who has only been a part of exclusive, hardcore, elitist guilds and organizations. I understand how they work and form and function. I am currently building an inclusive organization, and when we spoke pre-show, you mentioned that you guys have 2 focus, but then everybody's allowed to kind of play. If you were to give me, as somebody who is looking to grow my own inclusive organization, which I have never done before, what would be, you know, like 2 key points that other than, you know, the time structure, good staff, what would be the 2 main points that I should really take with me to be successful? So, you know, in a couple of years, I could be like, hey, I've got all these amazing folks, and we keep our community nice and clean, and people have a good time, and be as nicely respected as you are. What would those be?
I would actually want to add in there just one extra thing, which will actually let you talk for a while, which will be great, because then we can sit back and drink and watch you just talk. But add in there, if you don't mind, how it is you maintain structure in something so unstructured, something so chaotic. How do you bring order to the chaos and still let people feel like they're a part of something?
The big thing, I think, that for anyone looking to do something inclusive is that you need to let people play the way that they want to play, how they want to play, and when they want to play. The world does not always revolve around, you know, 6 to 9 raid times. A lot of people play all different times, and they enjoy doing all different things. And the more that you tell somebody, no, you can't play the way that you want to play, you've got to play the way that we want you to play, the more resistance that you're going to have, especially with an inclusive community. That works really well for the hardcore groups, you know, the top tier rating groups. But when it comes to like an inclusive nature, you need to have people out there being representatives of your community at all times. You need 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, people out there spreading your name and being a good example of that. This can really be achieved by creating kind of a construct like what we did with Gaiscioch. Is we have a point system that we call family honor points, and players can earn these by leading and following. The leaders will basically post things up on the website, say that we took this objective, that objective, this objective, that objective, we completed this dungeon, whatever have you. And then the participants will go and claim the participation. Now what this does is it checks players to see if they have the initiative to log onto a website and say, yes, I was there. If they say, yes, I was there, and everything checks out, then they will ascend through the ranks of the Gaiscioch family. Which is kind of how we have our structure, is that it's all point-based. So if you're participating in events, you're being a contributing member to the community, then you will ascend in the ranks. At one point in the rankings, it will then switch over to, you need this X amount of leadership credit for you to ascend through the ranks. You need this amount of contribution, and contributions earned by giving stuff to your guildies. It's kind of a measurement of how much you're willing to give without reward. And that's one of the things that we really put into the Gaiscioch, is to try to get people to give more than they take. Lead by example, recruit by action, help new players, even people that aren't in your guild. Go out there, help make those very first impressions memorable. You know, one thing I did in Dark Age of Camelot is I would sit in the starter town and I would literally drop gold on new characters that were just coming into the game. I just randomly walk up to them and give them gold. And let me tell you, people still today remember me giving them gold. In Rift, I handed out Spirit Weed bags to people. I mean, those are like the top tier bags forever. And I was giving those to random people that just started the game today. And people still today run around with bags made by Foghladha that were given to them when they first joined the game. And it's things like that that really kind of tie somebody to your community. And it's really, it's kind of a part marketing, part, just giving that person that little gem that they hold on to, and it keeps them there on your server, being a part of that community and giving, the best foot forward, And then, most importantly, for anyone that's trying to do an inclusive community, under promise, over deliver. You've got to live and die by it. The one thing you do not want to do is go back on your word. You always want, if you say you're going to give 7 legendaries, you give 7 legendaries.
Yep.
That's just the way it is. And that. Let me tell you, you do something like that, and you will be remembered for it. I cannot tell you how overjoyed people were at this latest public community event. I mean, it's phenomenal, the amount of turnout and the amount of, accolades that we got from it. So, you always got to plan on somebody, kind of going against the grain, but at the same sense, you need to put in processes that will solve those matters when they arise and deal with any issues as they come up in as quiet of a manner as you can. And if it's a very public manner, then you need to be very public about your resolve. You need to clean it up. And that's not always easy. It's not always fun. It's definitely not stress-free. But, it's very rewarding in the end. And when you see your community bloom, it's something that, you can really stand proud of and be kind of in awe of. And I think as long as you realize that the leader doesn't belong in the front, he belongs in the back, you're good.
Yeah, see, that's a beautiful thing. Now, I'm going to remind you, I did ask you about your structure because that would be a really interesting thing to see. But we also had a question come in from one of our previous guests, Tasha Dark. Now, Tasha was responsible for the Healing Over Time event. Her and her team got together and then got a whole bunch of people together so that we could do a 24-hour gaming marathon for Child's Play. Talk about a very, very, very exciting thing. And in fact, we will be having a Campfire special on YouTube, which is my interview with her and another, we'll just go ahead and say Andy. And as we discussed how Healing Over Time worked. But she would like to also know, how is it that how do you decide the direction of an inclusive guild and what the next step/game is while trying to keep that inclusive feeling? Because one of the dangers can occur with an inclusive guild is people either feel like they have to be a part of certain cliques to get anything done, or they may just feel like I'm just an outsider.
Yeah, and that's like the biggest common misconception that a lot of people find with Gaiscioch families. They go, oh man, they got like 6,000 people, I'm not going to have a place in this place. And the fact of the matter is if you're willing to walk out your door and shake the hands of somebody, you're going to make friends. You're going to make memories. You're going to make, some epic adventures. It's going to be a good time. But you have to have the initiative to be able to walk out that front door. You can't really make memories without leaving your house. So it's, in all honesty, you can make memories on a game, yes. But, you're not going to meet a lot of real-life friends if you don't walk out your door. So it's really just that initiative to go forward. And, I think a lot of it has to do with finding ways to get people together. Like with the Gaiscioch, we start our leaders off by leading small groups. We want them to group up with 5, 10 people, small, little intimate groups, have them do dungeons, have them do, just go take some supply camps or whatnot. And we want them to grow from there, because what that does is it ties those random people that are joining the community into the community. Another factor that we have in Gaiscioch is that we have a token that we call the Token of Valor, which is only awarded by players lower ranked than yourself. So like somebody at the top of the food chain can't give these to anyone. They always have to get awarded these by people lower ranked than themselves, and that helps them ascend through the leadership ranks, is that they literally have to get signatures of approval from the new members if they want to ascend. And that's kind of one of the ways that I've worked around that particular issue. So it's really a lot of automation, a lot of building tools and systems to help you streamline things. And quite honestly, if people knew how much time I actually spent, managing our reputation and managing our guild, they would probably be surprised, because honestly, it's not a whole lot of time. And I know it's probably baffling that I say that, but I've created enough tools and I put enough people in place that I too have free time. I play sports. I spend time with family. I work full time. I do side work on the side, and I travel a lot. And the community doesn't fall apart when I disappear. So it's really a matter of putting the processes in place so that you can do that. Now, on the new game theory, we actually have a entire metrics that is about 240 items that we look for in a game, and we stack games against each other. So like with our latest decision to go to Elder Scrolls, they actually scored an 86% on our metric. Yeah, you can downgrade all you want, but
down.
It's compared to the other games out there, it had the most for our community. What our community looks for, I have statistics on everything from the active play times to the type of objectives that are being claimed in our system. I can tell you how many PvE objectives were claimed on Tuesday, how many PvP objectives were on Tuesday, and I can find out where our community focus is going, where is the tide taking us, what do people like doing, and then I build community events, and if community events succeed, then I can see, people are interested in PvE, so let's do more PvE. People are interested in PvP, let's do more PvP. And then trying to balance that all out and find a game that caters to both is really the challenge. And that's why we built the matrix, that we can basically analyze the game and see, okay, this game has this for these people, this game has this for these people. How can we keep everybody happy? So, that's kind of it. And really, our threshold is about 400 active players. When we hit about 400 active players, that's when we start looking for a new place to go. We like to keep it between the 500 and 800 range of activity.
Go ahead, Screen. You're all like, I'm jumping in.
Does this level of management, though, and administration you bring with it, has this come with the size of the community now? Or is this something that's built over time, or is this something you started the community with?
It's 12 years worth of getting knocked around and going, ow, that hurt. It's let's build something to solve this problem. It's really a transition.
I was going to say, I may be involved in what is defined as an exclusive guild, but the survivability and the time of it, it's a matter of adapting. It's going, hey, this wasn't in place. Why wasn't it in place? We should probably build something that answers this need, this particular desire, this drive. It's why I think we at Campfire stress structure like you would not believe. We like we talked about in the last episode, have your grievance policies in place, have your, how do you handle people who want to make suggestions, how do you handle this, have everything in place, and communication is key. And it's a two-way street. It's not just the quote-unquote leadership saying this is what's going on. It's got to be the quote-unquote non-leadership going, hey guys, this is what's going on down here.
Yep.
Although make that an inverse pyramid because they sit at the top and it's just, yeah. Anyway, go ahead, Blank. I'm going to hold you off screen because Blank has been wanting to say something and I totally cut him off by accident. So
what I'm looking is I'm learning quite a lot here, which is really, really, thank you. When it comes to the structure and the staffing, I understand that part. How much of this is automated for your metrics and your gathering, and how much of this is actually human gathered data on your numbers? Because with the amount of people that you're talking about, there has to be a significant part of that is go click this link, vote what you want, do what you want. That has to come internally for you to be able to say, okay, this is where we're at. So which parts are automated and which ones are actually processed by your staff?
Well, things like the lead system, each person that leads an event will basically log into the website and log their event. They'll say what they did, when they did it. And that part is manual, not because I couldn't build a tool to log it for you, but because I want to make sure that the leaders are taking the initiative to go better themselves and better their community. That's an initiative check. And we have these initiative checks throughout the whole entire community. I mean, we really want to kind of cater to the people that have initiative and drive away the people that don't. That's mainly just because there's nothing worse than having a me person. It just drags down the whole community, and people are like, God, will they ever shut up? And it's you really want people that will go out of their way to help one another, and that really is what brings the family into a community, is the people that are always there, like say, oh my God, I cannot beat this stupid mob, this bunny is killing me, and then 5 guys go, hey, I'll help you, where are you at? It's that kind of feeling that you want to build inside of your community, especially if you're going inclusive, because you will get the me people attending your events, and that's fine. That's where you want them. You don't want them inside your community when your community is all based on nurturing a bigger community. You want nurturing people in your community. So it's really, I would probably say about 60% of the Gaiscioch is all automated. It basically is built on players logging stuff themselves, claiming things on themselves. I do a nightly review of whoever's getting promotions to make sure that people aren't claiming like 4 events at the exact same time, or that they didn't earn like 1,000 points in one day. Things like that. Anything that would be like, what the hell, or like this person is, obviously gaming the system. It'll basically say, hey, look at Joe Schmo over here. He's trying to play you. And it's just a matter of building the systems that identify threats and also help encourage people to work together.
So you have risk management built into everything. Is that just a byproduct of you as an individual, or the people who originally set it up?
I originally set it up. So I was the founder, the person that built everything, the websites, the data models, everything. I'm a bit of a tech guy. So, I've been building websites since 1993. So I kind of have an unfair advantage in that front, but it's really kind of a learning curve. You don't have it in one situation and you go, God, I wish I had that, So you end up building it, and then you build, oh, this tool will help make this process a lot easier. So you build a tool to help make that process easier. And funny story, I actually built a tool that got me laid off once, because it did my job for me.
Don't you love that?
I invented my own replacement at one of the jobs that I was on, and I got this current job that I'm on because I told them in my interview that I built this application, and they're like, "Wait, you built an application that automated your job? Can you do that again? Can you do it 10 times?" So yeah, it's automation is key. It's really great, and it saves you a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of effort, and gives you more time to spend with family and playing football or running, whatever your ambitions are. You want to go climb a mountain, go climb a mountain, because you're not going to have to sit here and filter through, oh, so and so was at this event, this event, and this event, and this event. I need to give them a promotion or they're going to complain. No, because the system does it all for you. So you don't have to worry about anything. You just click a little button, say, okay, that one's good, that one's good, that one's good. That guy's a troll. Let's kick him out. It's pretty automated. So it's nice if you can automate things.
Well, see, there you go, folks. Automation, the key. Although I will tell you, when you deal in technology as a fellow coder and programmer, it really does suck when you end up making your life easier, only to find out your life is easier because you don't have a job because of what you've created. Scripts are notorious for that. You got to be careful with them.
Yeah, but anyone that cuts you for making an automated script that optimizes workflow, they're a moron.
Well, there's a difference between optimizing workflow and actually creating your replacement, because there's a difference. Optimizing your workflow just makes your job easier. Replacing yourself, not quite. But that's okay.
Promotion time. Where I'm from, that's promotion time. I now want your job because my job is handled. I'm doing that job. Well, no, you're not. Well, no, I'm doing this now. I need to bump up. I think that's phenomenal. Just super clear.
Well, I'm going to add one more question to you, and this comes from Mr. Fallen Angel. Hi.
Hey, Fallen.
Who says, how in a community do you make people in different time zones and cultures feel like they're getting the same treatment of others in your time zone? And how do you make it work fluidly?
I do my best to try to be around at all time zones. One thing that you'll find me is I'm in raid call. Pretty much the entire workday, I'm in raid call. If someone needs me, they can come talk to me. I like to hang out with my people anytime I can. What's one of the benefits of kind of working remote is that I can sit there and chat with people while I'm coding away and keeping servers online. It's really kind of an easy task, but just being there for the people and making them, if they have a question, take the time to talk with them. I like to refer to myself as a frontline commander, where I like to be there at the entryway of every single person. Every single person that joins Gaiscioch usually comes through me. They'll send an email, say, hey, I like your guild, I want to join, and I send them a nice, friendly welcome, letter back and say, hey, it's a pleasure meeting you, here's what you got to do to get signed up. I like to be the person that shakes the hand of every single person that comes in the door. And that's just kind of the way that I am. I mean, that's not how everyone is. Some people would rather just have somebody else do that, but I'm the greeter, so I'll probably be 90
and
years
it's your
old
boot,
standing
probably.
at Walmart saying
That's
hi.
Going,
Yeah, so it's good though, because I love people. So, but it's kind of a learning experience. You get the balance. Like with the Great Tyranny Adventure, I decided to take Mondays off and then run events on Mondays in the morning during the European time slot, just so that I could be around the community at that time zone, because I felt my Europeans were getting left out. So, it's really difficult to be there for everybody all the time, especially if you have a normal job where you got to go out of the house, work 9 to 5, but you can try to build processes in place that will recruit those type of people and try to recruit people for the times that you can be around. Like if I wasn't able to be around in the mornings, I probably wouldn't push for Europeans so much. But I know that we have a good, solid group of Europeans, and they're a bunch of friendly people, so they can run the show while I'm not available. So, it's just a matter of finding the right people to run the events for you and keep things moving.
People,
I think that's something that
gotta break it.
Sorry.
No, you go right ahead, Screen. It's your show.
I think that's a dangerous thing to say. Dangerous thing.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's something that we've covered before on Campfire, is the importance of, whenever you can, being a hands-on leader at the end of the day. Something that Blank said about a month ago now stuck with me, is never be that king in the castle away from everyone, never coming down and talking to people. That the way he phrased that stuck with me, because it was very visual, but it's something we've gone over before. It's always going to be the case that the more interaction you have with your community at the end of the day, the better it's going to be for your community. You build those ties, you get to know people. Automation will only do so much. You'll be able to. I think at the end of the day, you'll be able to smell a whatever you were calling it, a douchebag or
Douchebag?
I can't remember. A douchebag, I don't know. And you'll be able to smell a troll a mile away if you get to speak to them, rather than wait for automation to flag up that there's a problem. So being on the ground is always important.
And the automation is, like, for a community the size of Gaiscioch, the automation allows me to be on the front lines. Without it, I wouldn't ever have a chance to be with anybody. I wouldn't be able to lead events. I would be just sitting there typing away and doing admin stuff. But the automation allows me to be on the front lines with them and lead events and bring them out and show them a good time, lead them off cliffs, the good stuff.
As rightfully you should. Now, that's something as a reminder, if you are looking at running a guild, if you run a guild, if you run a community, if you're looking at running one, if you are just someone who's new to it, please keep in mind the people who quote-unquote have those ranks at the very top are usually doing a lot of admin. Building spreadsheets, building those automated tools, going through the metrics. It's crazy what happens behind the scenes. In fact,
and they're usually the last one to max level, too. So,
especially if they get lost. No comment, Mizpah. My good leader gets lost so easily, it's hysterical. It's great. But yes, on that note, we are now reaching swiftly the end of our show, which means we're now going to move into the awesome section known as the Trailblazers. So, Trailblazer section is where our guest gets to tell us about a guild, a community, a website, something that they believe should be spotlighted and featured. I'm assuming you're going to tell us about Gaiscioch.
Yeah, somewhat. I'm more proud of the charity involvement that we do. So if you go to gaiscioch.com/charity, you'll see the various charities that we work with and the things that we're up to. We do have a Double Up stuffed animal gift exchange, where we use Kohl's, which you can buy stuffed animals from Kohls.com. That for the $5 goes to their Kohl's Cares Charity Foundation, which goes to children's education and nutrition. And then from that $5, they ship a stuffed animal to a second charity, which is a rescue home for children. They deal with orphans or families of domestic violence, whatnot, people who have lost their homes to fires, and these animals get shipped out to these different places that do this kind of work. So the stuffed animals are not only helping the Children's Education Fund, which provides scholarships to kids, but it also goes out to kids, that just lost everything in their life. And Gaiscioch has always been about the kids. We do the Extra Life every year. We do the stuffed animals for the kids that are going through the toughest times of their life. We try to be that shiny moment for those kids that really need it. And that's kind of one of the things I'm most proud of is our community's involvement in these things. So gaiscioch.com/charity.
It's already up in the chat.
Thank you so much. That's the big thing. And then also check out the Gaiscioch magazine. We're putting together a magazine for gamers, for developers, for the media. We're taking on topics from a reverse angle, from the gamer's perspective rather than from the journalist's perspective or the developer's perspectives. We're looking at it from the opposite angle and kind of giving a insight as to what we see. There's guides in there. So we pretty much came up with the idea, anything you guys want to publish, we'll publish. So we got comic strips, we got recipes, we got, reviews on games, we got previews on games, we've got, guides on zones, whatever they can dream up, we'll publish it just because we can. So it was kind of a fun little experiment that we thought would be fun to help people develop some professional skills and have some, portfolio piece to show if they needed it, and also get people's journalistic abilities out there in the open. And just in the first week, we had 15,000 reads, which I never expected in a million years. So that was kind of a mind-blown moment. Never expected the magazine to take off that well, but it did. So.
Well, there we go. We've got our lovely moments when it comes to the Trailblazers, and Kumbaya is pretty much mixed in there because our Kumbaya tends to be things about charity. So it is absolutely lovely. I have a feeling, and maybe it's the mystical surrounding me, maybe it's the fact that I'm slightly Malkavian and partially insane, but I have a feeling that Blank and Benjamin are going to be spending a lot of time together talking. I also have been asked to put you in touch, Ben, with Tasha as well from Mystic. So I will happily bring everybody together in one giant campfire cuddle. Yay. But yes, it is pretty much at the point to say goodbye to everybody. So, how do we want to say goodbye today?
I'm not singing.
Not through the medium of dance.
Yep.
No
singing.
No dancing, no singing.
I don't sing.
I could dance
Let's put it this way. I was in church
No
choir.
dancing, no singing, no stripping.
No stripping. Yeah, definitely no stripping. You don't want to see that.
Not until Blank's charity event. At least.
Oh, Viking Nation loves stripping for charity. They love it. They love it.
There is no charity. The charity piece is gone. It's gone. Bye.
No more.
I was 3 minutes ago done.
Okay. So what I am going to suggest then is a friendly game of Rochambeau. Rock, paper, scissors for those of you who don't know.
Rock, dynamite.
Thought you were saying a different type of game, so I was like, it just got real up in MMOBuff today. But okay, all right.
Okay, so a friendly game of rock, paper, scissors. Are you guys ready?
Sure.
Okay, everyone's hands up. Screen. Lift it up a little, screen. Come on. There you go. You ready?
We're still talking about my fists here, right?
It'll be on 3, not after 3. Are you ready?
Uh-huh.
1, 2, 3.
Axe.
Nice.
I totally saw
Axe
this
wins.
axe coming.
Axe. Just happened.
Fine.
Axe
Lop.
wins.
Lop.
Negative.
Lop.
Axe.
Lop.
I'll
Axe.
put the lop down. Put the lop. Do you want to enrage? The lop fury.
In fact, I am angry.
Oh my goodness.
Thank
Oh.
you, Katamari. Aww. Now, see, you have to get up and you have to dance with the mannequin screen.
Yeah.
I will wear the sailor outfit before I dance.
I just grab it and hold it, tip it or something, dip it. Okay, look, if we're all gonna start getting out,
Are we
all
gonna
the...
get? We're only gonna get into one.
Oh, this is a thing? Oh, this is a thing. Well, I've got one of these, and I've got one of those. What?
I have a chew.
When did they start
got
coming
Conquer.
from London?
It's got a
Conquer's
gun.
the man. Sorry, can't beat Conquer.
I will
Nah.
state, though, that very soon I am going to have a large-size Cthulhu doll. So
Pretty
I'll
much.
have Cthulhu, and that'll be great.
Where did the show go? What happened? We were on par. We were smashing it,
We
and then
still
plushies,
are.
and then plushies.
Soft talk.
Sorry.
You've seen. I'm sorry. You've seen 4 foot of roused air plushies. You should have seen this coming. As soon as you saw the stuffed animals.
Oh,
by the way-
you know, I'm just going to state, all it comes down to is plushies and stuffed animals bring communities together.
they do.
They do.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. I mean, just look at the Roundstower petition that was started and the community that came through WildStar there. There is so much awesomeness when it comes to plushies, but I kind of like that as a way to say goodbye, one-upping each other with plushies. I'm now trying to figure out what plushie I could possibly bring out that just could, like, trump you all, and I think I'm going to have to wait for Cthulhu.
I have boxed Illidan.
That's fine.
Back in the day.
Illidan's just a demon. Illidan's just a demon. Cthulhu is one of the old gods. Okay, I have me one of those. And that's up there, and I'm not going to reach up and grab it because I'll bump the microphone, and it'll be really weird, and it'll be crazy.
Wait, did you want to bleep something out? I don't think we had anything to bleep out so far. I don't have any more plushies, but I got plenty. I got this to give away. And I'm just gonna drop the mic.
You and me, after the show, you and me. Mono e Swagzilla is coming at you.
Can't you just need for something? Is that a thing? I don't do YouTube. I do Twitch, so I don't know.
Do you see what I have to put up
If
with,
it's-
Benjamin? Do you see what I have to put up with here?
If it's not a highlight,
You love
it's
it.
not real.
You love it.
Oh, I do. I would not
Okay.
have these people here if I did not love them. That's something I also want to point out. Guys, if you're going to put a community together, love it. Seriously, love it. Because it's the only way you're going to give it the nurture and the occasional spankings and punishment that it deserves in order to keep it strong. So, yeah, love
That
it.
or booze.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, my. Wow. And on that note, Benjamin, I'm going to now call you Trevor just to make Screen happy, just for a moment.
Okay.
And just say thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully we'll have you back again. Yes, yes? Because there are other topics we do
anytime.
want to talk about with you.
Anytime. Happy to help.
Yes, and
Thank you so much for letting me come on.
Thank you for coming on.
It's been an absolute
Wait.
pleasure and joy.
What? No. I would like to say something here. I have learned more in this last hour than I think I had even thought about processing in the last couple months since the startup of Viking Nation, the staff we put together. People were like, "Blank, you look like you're taking notes," and I'm like I am. Like I kept muting my microphone, so I'm like, and I normally. What's nice is sitting here as a host of this show, I felt like, hey, I'm dispensing information or experiences, and now the best part about it is I got to be a part of that learning environment today. Like I got to kind of just be quiet and be like, this guy has some really cool stuff that I need to know, and to know that that's what we're sharing through the show is amazing. So I want to say thank you very much. Hopefully my organization continues to grow based off of your experience and you being on this show. So I really appreciate that, and it's really nice to meet you.
Great to meet you all.
Oh, see, there you go. You don't get much like that from the Viking King. Go on. Come on, please. Can you raise your chalice?
It's always right here. Come on, of course I can. It was nice. It really was. It was a learning experience for me, and I really appreciate. And I'm looking forward to talking to you once we turn all this off. And this is what, when we get that message when someone's like, "Hey, I learned something from Campfire." I had that feeling today. Like I was sitting here and I was like, "Hey, that's a really good idea. Hey, that's a really good idea." writing these things down, you know. So it's great. I'm glad to be a part of this, and I'm glad you were here today.
That's the thing, you know. Every single guest we've had, I've learned something from. Makes no difference what they are, and this is one of the reasons why I, as an individual, I mean, Benjamin, I am just like you. I love people. I may joke and say I hate people because, you know, it's a trope and it's fun to make jokes that way. But the honest to God truth is I love people. I love community. I could not survive without people. It's who I am. So the fact that, you know, there are so many different types of communities out there that cater to so many different styles of play and different groups and different personalities, it's amazing. But the thing is, in the end, we can all learn from each other. Inclusive or exclusive, it makes no difference what type of guild you're running, hardcore or casual. You can learn something from every other guild leader, guild member out there. And the only way for us to get that information out is to have people like you willing to step up to the plate and be grilled on the campfire. And then probably eaten by Ed after the show. I'm really sorry.
Terrifying. Just
Well,
terrifying.
this took a different turn.
But yes, on that note, Ed, would you like to have your little say before we disappear?
I think you guys have pretty much said everything that needs to be said. Thank you, Ben, for coming on the show. It's been fantastic. It's been a great learning experience for everyone here, and hopefully, you guys over at Gaiscioch can continue to include both Sanctum Morale and the other communities that you come in touch with on all the games that you play in events like the Town Adventure. It's the thing that really got my attention when we were over there. It's the thing that made me realise that not only are you a great potential guest, but you're a community that really involves everyone, and it's very unusual to see a community that's that widespread, that inclusive, and goes that far for the communities that they play with. I mean, really, it was above and beyond what you guys have done within the server at Guild Wars 2, and frankly, we could all learn something from the way that you run Gaiscioch.
Exactly. Took the words pretty much right out of my mouth. I do want to add, though, thank you for being honest. I mean, it's difficult to talk about the mistakes that we have made as players, guild leaders, community leaders, and you've made points of you've not been afraid to go, hey, you know, we kind of went too far there. Oops.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you have to own up to your own mistakes. I mean, that's just part of the learning
self-responsibility. Absolutely. You take responsibility for yourselves, folks. Now, on this note, right before we disappear, I have been asked, and I would like all of you here to give a major hoorah to Eaton for actually, and we're supposed to do this on air, for passing the nursing boards. So for Eaton666, who has passed the nursing boards, can we get a hooah?
Hoa!
Hoorah.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Okay.
That's pretty cool. He's one of the Viking Nation folks, and he, with a lot of the support he got, he was able to pass that, and everyone's been pretty pumped about it. You know, little things like that. You talk about your bad times,
Yep.
you talk about your good times. That's awesome.
Absolutely. And again, you know, seriously, folks, if you want to be on the campfire, it's not that hard. All you need to do is contact us at voice@MMOBuff.TV, and you will be directed to the correct individual who will help and set you up. Just remember, we will grill you, and we will get serious, and then we'll let Ed eat you.
Nummy.
Num, 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 num. In my belly.
Stop it! It's not a thing. Stop
It's a
it.
thing. It's a thing
We're
now.
not allowing him to eat people. No,
It's
it's not a thing. It was like the J Zilla Lop whatever. No, I have to put my axe down. It's not a thing. We're not eating people. People are gonna be like, "Oh, you want to go on that community show where they eat people?" No, thank you.
Mama
No
J
thanks.
Lobzilla, you got a problem with that?
Not a thing either. No.
Mama J Lobzilla,
We'll just
yo.
see what happens on Friday with Frost.
Nope.
Who knows? And speaking of, as a reminder to absolutely everybody, we do have a Reaper of Souls competition going on right now on Facebook. So go to facebook.com/MMOBuff and scroll through the little thingies, and you will see a Reaper of Souls thing. You have a chance at a collector's edition unopened. You also have a chance at a signed Reaper of Souls t-shirt from Alex Macy, lead game producer. But yes.
Well, I encourage you all to enter the competition over at Facebook. How does Friday Night with Frost segue to Reaper of Souls?
Because I'm going through all our shows coming up. So tomorrow we've got a brand new show called the Blizzard Forecast. The Blizzard Forecast. And it is going to have Blankspace on it. It's going to have me on it. It's going to have Dr. Marshmallows on it. It is also going to have Parv from Yogscast on it. It is going to have Mispa on it. It's going to have quite a bunch of people on it, and it is literally all about the Blizzard IP and everything from StarCraft to Heroes of the Storm, etc. And then this Friday, we will be having an interesting Cosmotronic and about Wildstar, because there is a good chance, fingers crossed, that we'll actually be able to do Cosmotronic live from Meltdown, which is the Wildstar event that is taking place in London, where Stephen Frost is going to be showing up. And that'll be an interesting one if we can pull that one off. Other than that, come Monday, it is back with Mispa and myself debating the bejeebus out of things, because we just cannot agree. And it's kind of funny, because yes, he is my guild leader. It's kind of like sitting in on one of our council meetings where we just kind of sit there and poke fun at each other going, no, you're wrong. But yes. Anyway, on that note, I must say I love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for coming to the campfire. And we will see you very, very soon. And for those of you who have missed things, YouTube, it's a thing. Right, Blank?
It's a thing for these people who do this rendering and all this other stuff. I just do stuff on Twitch. Someone makes a highlight, and I just go, you want to see me? See me live. Render for 4 hours. Get out of here.
But yes, on that note, we will speak with you very, very soon. Pseudo saying toodle pip. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Pseudo here. Thanks for watching episode 16 of the Campfire, inclusive versus exclusive, with our guild representative from Gaiscioch, Foghladha. I think I got that right. Yes. If you like this episode, please click like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you'd like to see our previous episode, please click the bobbling heads above us. Thanks for watching. Speak with you soon. Toodle pip.